In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the experience of D&D from a Dungeon Master perspective and from a player perspective. So stick around. It's going to be a really good episode. Even if you currently play D&D, you might learn a few things. And if there's anything that we don't cover, shoot a comment down below and let us know.
Two travelers, adventurers, weary from travel on the road, enter a tavern. Quiet, late. They lower their cowls. The barkeep pours 2 glasses of ale.
Boy, mates. You want a glass of ale, I assume?
Of course. I've been adventuring.
For far too long. We're weary from our nights and our long days of travel. You got an inn around here? No? Well, we'll continue our adventure in 4 seconds. Welcome back, guys. Tom here from the Geeky Drinkers, and I've got a special co-host again here, my Dungeon Master, Colin.
Hey guys, how's it going? Happy to be here.
So today's episode is all about Dungeons and Dragons.
Awesome, man. I'm happy to help get more people into this.
I'm really excited for it because I've really gotten into it, especially in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
like
it's
8
been
months.
crazy.
Yeah, like the last little bit. So if you're new to the channel, we always do geek themed cocktails, gaming reviews, merch, music. Basically anything geek culture. So feel free to hit that subscribe button down below and make sure you hit that like button as well. And hit the little bell notification so you never miss a thing. But jumping into today's episode, so we're not actually doing cocktails today because in the Dungeons and Dragons realm, there's not really a lot of cocktails.
No, it's just ale.
It's ale.
It's all about ale.
So we got our ale. Cheers.
Fine brew.
Fine brew, my friend. So, as I mentioned before, Colin's my DM. I've mentioned him on a couple other episodes in the past. So now you get to put a face to the name. Shoot a comment down below if you play Dungeons and Dragons, what your character name is, the race and the class, because I would love to know. And,
yeah, I'm curious to see how many people are out there playing.
Absolutely.
And what they're playing.
Yep, absolutely. Let us know what version you play as well. We play version 5, which I...
5th edition, yeah?
5th edition, yeah.
What's your racing class name?
So my character's name is Feroshi Lydon. I'm a Wood Elf Ranger who's an Outlander. So I'm super proficient in longbow, and I'm also a dual wielder. So anytime I dual wield, I can have heavy weapons. So weapons that I would normally have to have in 2 hands.
Extra defensive.
In 1 hand. And it raises my AC or armor class. It raises that up every time I have 2 weapons in.
Untouchable.
So it makes me like a fucking tank.
My character is Aiden Lamonte in the game that I play. I DM in the game Tommy's in. Aiden Lamonte, he's a human paladin under the goddess of Sun.
Okay.
Sune. She's the goddess of love and beauty, so he's very flamboyant. He likes things that are beautiful. Likes the
finer things.
The finer things in life. He's very handsome, very well groomed.
What's his charisma?
It's high.
Is it? Yeah, I was gonna say high. It's gotta be. High.
Things are kind of turning because he's kind of going over the dark side. I'm kind of taking like a Jedi kind of
nice
turn where he's
going
Anakin,
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah,
style.
His love was taken from him. Yeah, which is just coming out as the story goes on, which is what we wanted to get into. One of the best things about Dungeons and Dragons is creating these characters with crazy backstories that just develop and come out as you play. And if your Dungeon Master is good and all for it,
he is really good.
Thanks. But I try to work with my players on a backstory so I can tie things in. That are just coming back from their past, and it just really makes you feel like a complete character in a world that you've existed in for some time.
So so there's a DM, which is Dungeon Master, and then there's
2 very different experiences in D&D, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like I've never DM'd, but I'm interested in learning the DM because I know my daughter Sage and a few of her friends actually want to get really into it. So I'm the most experienced. I'm the ale. Cheers. Did we cheers?
We did.
I think we did. Yeah. Okay. But
never has to go in.
So I'm kind of the most experienced around for them in D&D. So I would probably be DMing for them when that eventually comes. So I'm actually hoping to learn a decent amount from you today.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I hope I can pass some stuff off. So do you want to start with the player experience? Like both of us have played.
Yeah. Let's go with the player experience. So
what is Dungeons and Dragons? We should probably answer that question because a lot of people, I'm sure, have heard about it. I mean, we've seen it on Stranger Things. Like Dungeons and Dragons, I've heard have they've been recording their most popular years ever, even since the 80s. I'm
not surprised at that, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Like board games in general have like really had a huge resurgence in the last, probably in the last like 5 years.
I wonder if it's just our generation like getting older to the point
we're just like we want to go back to like the roots.
Yeah, we want to hang out, but we don't want to talk all the time. So it's good to have like a game to play or something.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. It's a role playing game. It's very social. You sit around and play it with paper, dice. You can use miniatures. You can use maps. You don't have to, but they definitely add to the experience. And it's just friends sitting around and sharing their collective imagination to create and inhabit this world of fantasy. And our world is set kind of like in a medieval realm, but there's all sorts of rule sets for. I mean, if you want to be a Jedi, you want to go like sci-fi, futuristic, laser guns.
Can you be? Well, I guess.
Yeah, there's rule sets for everything.
Are there really? Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
One thing that's really cool, I was going to talk about later, but if we're talking about different rule sets, like people have homebrew. Homebrew is what they call just people that make like tweak the
kind of the pre-existing game.
Yeah, as the foundation, and they tweak it to fit within whatever fantasy they're trying to fulfill. So Pokemon. Some people have made rules where not only the Pokemon stats matter, but the type of trainer you are. If you're an aggressive trainer, if you're a trainer that focuses on one Pokemon, like maybe Lieutenant Surge, he just focuses on his Raichu, super powerful. There's rules for that. And then if someone who wants to be the underdog and have a bunch of weak Pokemon that can maybe perform at a upper evolve level, that would be going after like an Ash Ketchum type, right? So there's rule sets. If there's anything you like, there's probably a tabletop game you could be playing with your friends right now.
Crazy.
So yeah, we play in a medieval realm where elves, dwarves, humans, swords, shields, maces.
I'm all about the swords and the shields. I love it. But my character, as I'm realizing as of late, needs to be more of an archer because my character actually died, which was a really like no word of a lie, like it was like heart-wrenching because my backstory is like 8 pages long, like, and it's like it's very, very detailed.
And even for the other members of the party, I mean, they're losing a friend, and when you've been playing together for a couple weeks, a couple hour sessions, and you role play these characters, you start building like relationships.
Absolutely.
And you lose a friend, and everybody had to figure out a way to bring Furoshi back because there was no way we were just gonna leave him to die.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping not. I was just like, please don't leave me to die. Because I poured a lot into that character, like creating it, and like.
And of course, you could just roll a new one, but I mean, it's better if you can recover somebody.
Absolutely. Well, I think the worst part about that was that. So I rolled. So when your character like dies, they go unconscious, and you have to roll D20, which is a 20-sided dice, and you have to
They can hold it up with the top.
So that's 20-sided die right there. But you basically have to roll above
a 10.
Basically above a 10. So if you
50%
get like
shot,
so you have a 50-50 shot. If you basically get above a 10, you get a success, death saving throw, or if you roll lower than a 10, you get you fail. Yeah. If you fail 3 times, your character's dead. Like they're not unconscious or dead. So I rolled 1 fail. And then I rolled a natural 1, which is just the number 1.
Yeah, it's the worst thing you can roll. It's just like critical failure.
Yeah. So that in death saving rolls counts as 2 deaths. So my character was just done.
He was gone.
And he was gone for
a couple weeks.
Probably I think it was like 3 weeks. Yeah, 3 weeks.
Yeah, and
so,
we play every 2 weeks, so that's a long time to be without your character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Tommy took on the role of one of our NPCs, non-player characters, which was just a character that I, as the DM, Jim Jar, I as the DM control just to add flavor and story to the world.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of helped me out and took control of him as our party's cleric, a death cleric or a necromancer, kind of figured out his own powers and he met with a god that kind of taught him more of the ways of his death magic, and he was able to return the string of life that connects the soul to the body and bring Furoshi back with us.
It was intense.
Yeah, it was intense.
Like, no word of a lie. Like when Colin was going through that whole entire process, I was just like, please roll good, please roll good, please roll good. Because like there's even when going through that, there's still a possibility of failure.
And I'm a DM that likes to play like I like death to be on the table.
Yep.
I don't want my players in this world where they
can't
just have
ever
no
die.
fear of dying, because that's no fun.
It takes
removes
away
the drama of what Dungeons and Dragons is, the tension of these battles with monsters and dragons and demons and fiends. Like you want to be able to die because you want to be able to kill them back, right? Like
absolutely,
you want the weight to be there.
Yep.
So yeah, Furoshi's back to live to fight another day.
Finally, I was like no word of a lie. Like I was stressing like that whole time. Like if you've ever had a character die in D&D, like it's tragic.
Yeah, and why don't you just shoot us a comment of like the death, and if you came back, let us know how you figured it out, because at low levels, I mean,
because we were
resurrection spells aren't always
they weren't
available.
there. Like we were level 4 at the time. So right now everybody else in our party is level 5 except for me, which I'm still level 4, but I'm alive, so hey.
Yeah. You got a bit of catching up to do.
A little bit.
And the cool thing about D&D, and you don't get it from video games or comics or anything else, any other art medium, is what we're talking about now. It's like we actually lived it. Like we experienced this. This was just a story we told at the table in the other room there. Mm-hmm. But they're adventures that we were on together, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I really like about it from a player's perspective is like you have to be on your feet always. Like I try and go like full mindset into where my character is. I try and alter my voice a little bit when I can. I'm trying to get a little bit more into that.
For the role-playing aspect?
For the role-playing aspect. Because, like, again, like, that kind of thing does...
It definitely adds to it. It's not a requirement. Mm-hmm. It's definitely one play style.
Yep.
Where you can try to use accents. I mean, dwarfs, a lot of people think of Scottish accents.
Yeah,
Hobbits, I always think of, like, Irish or something. Maybe it's the hairy feet or the drinking, I don't know. But you just kind of think of these characters that you get to act out at the table, but you don't have to. Like, if you want to just describe in really cool ways, like, Furoshi's a wood elf, so if you want to say Furoshi swiftly dashes to the other side of the room, being as graceful as possible, you describe what your character does. You're not comfortable being like, I dive and I tuck a roll and I land on all threes, like on like a 3-point landing, right?
Yeah. Superhero landing.
Yeah, which is what I prefer to do.
Same. Because like, I think like it does. It kind of gets you more invested on like an emotional level with your character. So like you can really, like, at least for me anyway, like I can really zone into like, okay, where's the mindset of Furoshi right now? Like there's like, 2 enemies over here. One of my friends is unconscious over there. And then there's more enemies coming over there. What would Furoshi
feel like this? Like,
absolutely.
Would he go for a stab, or would he go to save his friend?
Yeah.
Is a friend an acquaintance, or is his friend like a love?
Yeah.
That he would do anything for. He would risk life or death, or maybe he needs to keep his eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Maybe this is his most hated enemy.
Yeah.
And even though his love's on the ground, he sees
just red. Yeah.
Right? And these are the fun things you can do only in Dungeons & Dragons, right?
Well, absolutely. Like, I mean, you can do it like when you're like full on acting and everything like that. But it's definitely a different experience when, especially like when you're with your friends and everything like that. And I even know a lot of people that'll go to just like open Dungeons & Dragons nights at like The Adventurers Guild is one perfect example, like here in Kitchener. Yeah, it's in Kitchener.
Oh, okay.
So they have open D&D every week. I'll put the information down in the description below on that if you want to check that out. But they have it open D&D every week, and it's one of those things that, especially if you go to a few different times, like, you'll get to know the different people, and you'll build relationships, you'll build friendships, and that's something that is really, really valuable.
You hear all these anecdotes, people that play D&D with people, like, you create a bond that really lasts for a long time.
Oh yeah,
like forever,
absolutely.
Almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And like even just from a player perspective, just being in that mindset is one of the things that I really, really look forward to every week.
Yeah,
like it's
because you really are relying on other people and putting trust and faith in their actions to get through these puzzles. Sometimes, I mean, it's like skill contests, like you're trying to crawl your way through a mine, or sometimes more often than not, you're battling something.
Yeah,
it's a contest of like strength and ability.
Well, not even just strength and ability; it's also about strategy too. Because I mean, like if you just have like if your team's just like all tanks and nobody can heal you, you're gonna have a very different strategy as opposed to if you have like 2 tanks and like the majority like magic and then like a healer. You're gonna play differently depending on what that is. You're gonna want to make sure to protect that healer so that you're
for sure. There's the very like video gamey way to play where you're just like, here's my enemies. Let's figure out the best way to attack them. And what I always try to add, any way I can, I try to take what the DM has given me and try to add any like flavor to the story. Like if he says there's a chandelier on the ceiling, I'm gonna try to drop that on a goblin's head, right? If he says there's like spiky trees nearby, you want to try to impale like the nearest demon on one of those branches, right? And
you want to use and using that environment to your benefit. Not only keeps you on your feet, but it also keeps your DM on their feet as well. Because they're like, okay, you know, I have to calculate, you know, like what the damage is going to be on that, like how hard they hit it, and how long they're entangled.
One of the most exciting moments as a DM is where you start figuring out what your player's thinking. Yeah, and you wanna figure out how to make the rules. You want to give them a challenge so they don't just get what they want. They actually feel like they achieve it through dice rolls.
Absolutely.
But there's like this organic like eye contact, kind of like, okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah. And there's a rule of cool where you want to make the coolest possible story out of what's going on, because it's not it's not as easy as just like the DM has all these monsters and the player characters are here and you slam them together. Yeah. You all want to write the best possible story you can together. And the rules are just kind of like what facilitate that.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, like, what do you find the most challenging about being a DM?
The most challenging is definitely like as a DM you're required to prepare.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have all your characters' backstories, you have all the abilities that they have, you have your encounter, and you're playing for the night. But when the players start doing things you didn't expect, you definitely don't want to railroad them and force them down the path that you have writ.
Absolutely.
You want to have this adaptive, free spirit. So I wish maybe eventually I'll think of some examples of things you guys have done that threw me off, but definitely the most exciting and the most challenging moments are when your players just do something you didn't expect.
Like totally blindside you, eh?
Yeah. Or if you prepare a night's worth of content and then they choose to stealth by it, and you're like, pass without a trace. For those who know Dungeons and Dragons, pass without a trace is a tough spell for a DM to deal with.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because I mean, you basically like, okay,
you snuck by everything I wrote.
So when you're preparing for like a night, do you normally when you're initially planning like the campaign, because campaigns can be, you know, like they can be a few sessions or they can go on for months or years. For sure. How far, like when you're first starting a campaign, how far would you kind of write the storyline, or would you have kind of like a loose idea of where it's going?
A very loose idea. I keep it very loose because, again, I'm a very young DM. I've only been doing this for 8 months or so,
Mhm.
and I've grown a lot and evolved since even starting. Where at first I wrote this very structured plan,
Mhm.
and then my players very quickly destroyed that plan.
Was that at Dave's bachelor party?
No. It was actually like
Okay.
yeah, it was actually like within my first campaign, not that
Oh,
one
okay.
shot I did. The
Yeah.
first game we ever did was a one shot at my friend's bachelor party, where he always just wanted to play. So we finally just got all the
just
pieces
did it.
together and did it.
It was awesome.
But no, it was the campaign where I had all this very structured plan, and then I learned that it's more fun to go with the flow, see what your players do,
Oh yeah.
and build off that week to week.
Yeah.
So now it's very a loose plan. I plan encounters and then let the players connect those encounters any way they want.
Yep.
I don't like to do a lot of random encounters where you're just fighting random monsters. Every battle I want to teach the players a lesson,
Absolutely.
create drama, and I think you appreciate that more than just if
Oh
you're
yeah.
fighting a goblin tonight, you're fighting this tonight.
Our campaign is like we're in an Underdark or like in the Underdark, and we're kind of gradually making our way. Like originally we were captured as slaves, and we had to figure out a way to get out of that, and then escape, and then try and make our way up to the surface, so that we can kind of resume our life or whatever's going to happen.
Yeah.
If and when that happens.
If you make it out.
If we make it out, I don't know. Call it does, but so I mean, it's really interesting the way that you kind of have to think, because I mean, like I've read up on D&D and everything like that for a while before actually playing it, like full on like playing it and everything like that, and like my kind of expectation of that was more or less like what we did at David's bachelor party, where like we were like starting in a tavern, like what we did at the start of the episode, and then
many games do.
You kind of go from there. Like, so I kind of went into that expecting that, and I was totally blindsided.
Oh, by the being starting
like
the game
starting
out as a
as
prisoner?
yeah, because I was just like,
take everything away.
okay,
and
like
break
I
out.
have none of my weapons, none of my clothes, none of my allies. I don't know the terrain. I don't know the monsters. Like,
and to me, I thought that was a great way to start, because although,
dude, absolutely,
because we had a lot of new players that had never played anything like this before, so I wanted to take all of the spells and items out of it,
kind of make it basic,
and get start with the role play, start with the using our imagination to how would we break out of a prison cell.
Yeah.
And
it gets you thinking in a completely different way. You're like, okay, well, what do we have around me? Like, what can I possibly...
Very minimal things. You got to just use...
what you have.
Yeah, what you have to break out. And then when you guys finally got your gear back, I could see on my players' faces, they were like, yes, like this was a struggle to get here.
Yeah.
And then you give them a battle with some enemies to fight that they can just destroy. And the tables have turned. And then I think it was another session and you guys were out of that slave pen, and you guys have just been fighting your way through the Underdark ever since, helping anyone you can along the way, as heroes do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's a big part of that is
feeling like a hero.
Feeling like a hero, yeah, and you know, like, and just going on that adventure and helping, like, just helping people out, like.
Well, that's it. As the DM, my job isn't to kill Feroci.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, I of course I run the monsters, and I want to run them well. I want to run them lethally, like beasts, like
you're actually
like the
fighting
monsters
them,
that they are. I want my players to feel that, but at the same time, I'm exploring these caverns with these players as well. I don't want them to die.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens.
If we all die, then game over, and we start a new campaign.
Yeah, but my job really is to present scenarios and situations where my players can feel like heroes.
Absolutely.
So if I want to put people in peril so they can save them. I want to put them up against challenging monsters so they can persevere and destroy them, right?
Yep. I
want to give them awesome magical items. One cool thing that we had a lot of fun with in Feroci's backstory, he had a great grandfather that went away to. Would you like to tell?
Yeah. So I think I might actually rewrite it a little bit, because like great grandfather is long. I might just change it to like great grandfather.
Well, just keep in mind that elves live for 7 centuries.
Well, that's that's another thing as well, right? Yeah. But basically, like one of my ancestors went away to learn the smithing ways of from the dwarves.
The best there is.
Absolutely. And nobody ever heard of him since. We just knew he went to like the best of the best and wanted to forge like the ultimate weapon.
So when Tommy wrote that in his backstory, I was like, great, Furoshi is going to stumble upon this ancestor.
And
but when you actually found him, you didn't find him alive. It was far too late.
Yeah.
But what you actually found
was pretty badass. Like I found because this just happened last session. I found like basically like my family's armor, and I found a magical sword that I still don't know everything about it because I haven't gotten.
Yeah. Well, I
haven't gotten anything on it yet.
It's actually a sentient sword.
Oh, okay. So is his. I don't know. I don't want to necessarily. Spoil
Well, I can explain this because if you don't understand, so basically, what I wrote into the lore is that. Furoshi's great-grandfather went to study with the battle-forged dwarves because they were the best forgers, or the best blacksmiths that anyone ever knew of.
Yep.
And he learned that once in a black-forged dwarf's life, they would forge the most immaculate weapon. A weapon so amazing that they would leave the forge never to make another weapon again because they could never replicate. And Furoshi's great-great-grandfather wanted to make this weapon for his family.
Yeah.
A moonblade, the elves call them.
Yeah.
So he went to study, and as he was hammering out this moonblade, the battle-forged dwarves came under attack by orcs, your most hated enemy.
Absolutely.
And as the orcs were overtaking the entire realm of the dwarves, and eventually the forge, your great-great-grandfather continued to hammer, just determined to finish this blade, and he actually hammered his own life force into it because he ended up losing his life to the battle behind him. So encapsulated by this task that the magics of the dwarven forges locked his spirit into this blade. So now it's up to you in our subsequent sessions to figure out. I don't know. What would you do? Do you want to save his soul? Maybe it's stuck in that blade forever.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just an ally for life.
Maybe
there's a way to.
I did exactly.
We'll figure it out together. But these are the things we just create. I just see his backstory and want him to have fun with it. So
Well, and do you find that like from a DM perspective, do you find that it's easier to have like a more detailed backstory, or do you find it like, you know, this is where they live, this is kind of their past, like a very like kind of 2 paragraph.
The more detailed it is, the more I realize that you're interested in your own character. I can see what you're interested in. Okay. And then I can play off that. If you leave it open-ended, I'm going to make something that I think's fun based on what I know about you.
Totally.
One thing about my DM style that I really like to do is just steal. Just steal from things I love. Yep. If you name any character, we can generate a character out of that.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like to do. It's like you can pick the most obscure character and make a class, a backstory, and then play into that.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's kind of the fun thing too. Like when you're first starting out, if you don't have
if you're stumped.
Like if you're stumped or you don't have the creative spark to like just sit down and just like continuously write, just pick a character and just
be your favorite character. Let's do like Captain America. Okay.
Yeah.
So human paladin. You used to travel and you got frozen in time during a great battle, and now you're back. You're in a world where you don't know the customs, you don't know what's going on. You're just trying to follow your heart with what's right and be a hero, and just maybe you'll say silly things because you don't understand the customs. Do you want to do one? Like
that was probably a good one. I wouldn't say like I'm as good like on the fly creating like mine. Like
I've done it a lot as a DM. Yeah. I mean, I steal to create NPCs.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But like for me, like when I was creating my character, I created him over maybe like 2-3 days tops. Like I sat down and I was just like, I kind of like wrote maybe like a couple sentences, and then I just like, I was like, oh, this would be really cool, and I would like go down a couple spaces and like jot it down, and then I would like go back up and keep on writing, and then I would like reincorporate that in here, and like
You think of something that belongs in a different paragraph,
dude,
and just
and
all over.
I did that. Like I had so many notes all over the place, and then I just like put everything together, and it was just like I looked at it and I was just like, holy hell, like this is like 8 pages long, and I was just like,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty sure I even messaged you. I was like, is this okay? Like, is this too
Yes,
long?
it is. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
The more you give me, the more I material I have just to bring back later, right?
What's your favorite thing about DMing?
Power.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
power. I feel like I like to create something that everybody likes. Because in our group, we have the people that like to battle, we have the people that like the puzzles, we have the people that like story. So I try to mix that all together. I like having the control of seeing what everyone's enjoying and having the power to do it. Yeah.
Cool. Good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun being a player too, because I get the tingles when my DM is running me through a situation. I get excited, and when I get a magical item, I'm like I feel like a kid at
Yeah,
Christmas.
you're just like, oh,
what
yeah.
can it do? What's it gonna do for my character? Because I'm a gamer, I'm an actor, I'm a goof, I'm a clown,
Yeah.
all in one, and it's fun.
Well, and I kind of felt the same way, like, because right now, like, my character, he has two spider gauntlets, and they're basically
Web shooters.
like web shooters, like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I've already used that. Like, I haven't been as successful as I wanted to with them.
You've done some cool stuff with them.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, we're so in the Underdark where we are right now. We're in kind of like a big mushroom forest. So one of the things I did was I shot up and I basically climbed up to like the highest mushroom I could find, and then just like surveyed the area. And that was like really fun, but I can also use it to like shoot web in like an enemy's eyes, and like use it to like entangle.
You strung up 2 troglodytes once.
Yep.
Restrain them completely.
Yeah. So there's a lot of fun things like
I totally like. There's items in the books, but I created those web shooters out of like various rules I threw together.
Spider-Man.
Because I love Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're in an area where there's drow, dark elves, and they're very spider influenced.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I don't know what, I just made me think Spider-Man. And I actually equipped an enemy with them, and you relieved them of them, didn't you?
Yep, stole them right off. Because I was like, 15, not bad.
Well, he didn't need them anymore after what you guys did to him.
Absolutely. And like, and that's the fun. So like, what's the most fun item you've created?
The web shooters might be up there.
Okay.
One thing I did, I started all my characters at level 3, so when they finally got their items back, I knew they would have been playing for a bit, so I created a custom magic item for each character. I actually like the item I created for Luna, because the one restriction of a druid is when they turn into an animal, suddenly they can't communicate with their team.
Yep.
I mean, they can with growls and gestures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But,
or unless there's another one around that can understand the language.
There's spells that you can speak with animals, but she has an item that was given to her from the pixies of Serena Forest.
Yeah, Collar of the Moon.
The Collar of the Moon. When she wears it and wild shapes into a beast form, she can still speak in whatever in whatever languages she knew as her elf form.
Oh, does that? So if she knew like elf and like,
for sure,
orc and
she
everything.
can basically just speak with her own vocal cords
neat.
in her animal form, as long as that beast has a mouth and vocal cords, right?
Yeah.
So if you turned into a snail, it might be kind of tricky.
Yeah.
I mean, do snails have?
You might have to like touch their antennae or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
there's fun stuff like that. Like if you see restrictions that you don't necessarily like within the rules, you can always give an item that kind of counters it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
as the DM, you have the power to do it.
Absolutely.
But one thing that's kind of cool is that I wanted to talk about is kind of my method, because as a DM, there's books, there's modules that kind of write a bunch of words that tell you kind of how to run the game. And it took me a while to realize that I work a lot better from a picture. I like to draw, so I created a journal, and I don't know if we'll be able to see this.
Yeah. So is it like that or?
Yeah, we don't need to like look in detail. It's just kind of
so
show.
Up there.
But I basically like I'll draw a sketch and then details about the room, because from the sketch I can look at what I've drawn, and my players never actually see these.
Yeah.
Like Furoshi, you've been in all these areas. The rooms with the spider webs.
Yep.
So you've never seen these, but you've been there.
I've seen
like
them
maybe
in my
if
mind.
you look at them now, you've seen them in your mind, right? Like this is the tower where you got gear. There's the waterfall with the bridge and the webs.
Yep.
Like I draw these pictures and then I can describe what I see to my party, and then
it probably
see what
helps.
I see.
Yeah, it probably helps you as well, because then you're like, okay, well, you know, like maybe 20 feet across from this, you'll see a cavern.
Yeah, and I'll do things like create characters. Like there's Jim Jar right there.
Yep.
It's very much just a small piccolo without
it's Jim Jar.
antennas. Yeah.
See, and it's funny because like one thing that I always did is when I was playing as Jim Jar while Furoshi was dead, is I always talk like this. Yeah, Jim Jar. Because I always imagine Jim Jar being like Jiminy Cricket. And this is how I imagine Jiminy Cricket would sound. Even though I know that's not how he sounds at all. But that's, for some reason, that's where my mind associated with that. So I just tried to
treat Jim Jar kind of like that.
Well, and I tried, like, I just tried to embody that character, you know, and...
Yeah, it's more fun. And everyone always has a chuckle whenever Jim Jar is cracking a joke or trying to gamble on what's going to happen next.
Or steal a pocket or try and,
pickpocket, which he's pretty good at.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Oh, man, that was so there was one time where I rolled really well, and I went to go steal from David, one of our other characters, or Valeth, rather. And so I rolled...
Even though you rolled really well.
I rolled really well. I went to, like, go pickpocket him. He didn't have anything because I owed him gold, and I forgot to say, like
give it to
I'm
him?
going to give it to him first and then steal it back.
Yeah.
So I was just like...
You had a pickpocket full of butt cheek, guys.
So that was pretty funny.
But I mean, a failed pickpocket roll, and it's a funny joke later because you picked your butt. Yeah. So we have all these like moments where it was just us sitting at a table telling a story, and it's like something that actually happened. Yeah. So
it's good to and it's fun too, because like even in just like casual conversation, if it's something that you bring up, like you instantly are like brought back and like you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If I were to be like, hey Colin, what's in the desk?
Yeah.
You would know.
Yeah.
So
our party has a really tricky time with desks. The funny thing about Dungeons and Dragons is like you put a dice roll to everything, so something so simple like opening a desk can be harder than fighting an ancient red dragon.
Yeah. Because
the dice doesn't want you to open that drawer.
Well, and okay, so a bit of backstory on that. So at David's bachelor party, we were in this one tower, and on the one floor it was just an empty room, but there was like one desk there. So
I made the mistake as the DM of putting a desk there that didn't have anything of value. I just said it was there. Nothing at all in there. And I think there's like 3 drawers and whatever. But because you're the DM, anything you say is important.
Absolutely. So we went up to it, and
so all 6 warriors surrounded this desk.
And we just kept like, I want to check this drawer. Okay, I want to check this drawer above, and like I could I could tell you're just like,
there's nothing in the desk.
There's nothing in the desk.
Level 20 desk. Yeah. It's the boss of our campaign.
That is probably still like...
You guys are gonna escape the Underdark and see a beautiful sunrise, and then a desk.
If you do, I'm gonna love it.
End campaign. Total party wipe.
But I mean, like that's the kind of stuff that really like you take outside of the game as well. Like it's little, like it gives you like little inside jokes, and it gives you like it just gives you stuff to talk about. Yeah. Because I mean, absolutely, and like how many times have we just been like chatting with all the guys, and like D&D will come up.
It goes back to D&D.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's wicked. It's really fun.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of our perspective on like
the experience of it all.
Yeah, like the experience and the gameplay and everything like that from a DM and a player's perspective.
It's a one of a kind thing. If you haven't tried it and you've been maybe thinking about trying it,
just do it.
Possibly, like I used to hear about it when I was younger, and there was never like an opportunity to play it. And this is something now that I've tried it, I wish I have been doing for a long time. So
Absolutely.
Please, if you've ever had an inkling to give this a shot,
do it.
Yeah, give it a shot. Post some links down that can point people in the right direction.
Yeah, so we'll post a link down in the description below. One resource that's really valuable to me is a podcast called Critical Role.
Oh man, I can't believe I almost we forgot to mention that.
So
it's what got me into this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like and I mean like I'll forewarn you like they're like I listen to the podcast, but they also like are on YouTube and they do Twitch streaming as well.
Yes. Every Thursday.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific, I believe. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll link down in the show notes down in the description below.
So that would be 5 p.m. Eastern, right?
Yeah, because it's 3 hours behind. But yeah, it's basically like a group of voice actors that sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons. So even if you're not too sure and just kind of want to test the waters a little bit, give it a listen because they just recently started a new campaign. They're 9 episodes in.
Yeah, it's a perfect time to jump in because their previous campaign went for about 112 episodes, and I'm still working through it. But it's what got me hooked and. You'll fall in love with some of these characters.
Oh yeah, and it's hilarious. Yeah. Like no word of a lie. Like it's one of the funniest things. Like I look forward to it every Thursday. Like now the episodes like they range from like 3 to like 5.5 hours. So
they're great for listening to. I listen when I'm at work, just kind of going through mundane tasks or just doing 3D modeling or stuff like that. I can just kind of toss it on and enjoy it like an audiobook or a podcast.
Absolutely, and I listen to it on the podcast app, so I can link the description down below to the link as well. So that's a great resource that I would personally recommend.
Yeah, I couldn't say enough good things about it.
Oh, absolutely, and I mean. Like, I find that even since starting to listen to that, I found I've become a better player.
Oh yeah, they definitely really kind of embody what like Dungeons and Dragons can be because these are all voice actors, right? That have like crazy credentials.
Yeah.
Definitely go check them out. I'm sure, like I did, you'll go through each of the members of the cast and you'll recognize.
You're just like,
they've done.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. You've definitely played a video game that one of them has been in. If you're watching this channel, it's impossible that you haven't seen them on something.
True story, man.
One of them was Donatello in Ninja Turtles. Yeah, so you definitely
gotta check it out.
Yeah.
But we'll end the episode on that. We will be doing a follow-up episode next week on basically the more detailed oriented side.
Yeah, like the tools and materials and
the resources.
Yeah, the resources you need to play the game. We're gonna show you what we've been using, and hopefully you guys will think that's pretty cool.
Yep. So it's gonna have stuff like different classes, like what books to use.
You see those here. We're gonna go into like what these are.
Yeah, basically like what the dice are, and just some different resources that you'll have. So definitely check that out. That'll be coming out the Thursday after this episode airs. And as always, stay geeky, guys.
Mamma mia.